Okay, so due to some unseen circumstances, I had to make do with the footage I had in the last part and just compile that into one video. And considering that I was going way over time anyway, I figured, you know what? I might as well just stop there and make this the last video to play through. So I can say without utmost confidence that this will probably be the finale of Let's Play Neutopia. We'll just have to see and find out. So as you guys remember from the last video, we came into this room and I bombed this wall right here. And hopefully this will have the crypt key that we're looking for. Boo to the freaking yeah. Alright, so with that being said, all we have left to do really is to just head over to where the boss is and we can kick its royal ass. Hopefully, maybe, possibly. We'll just have to see and find out. Oh my god, this is a little too crazy for my liking. Getting a lot of rings out of it though, for whatever reason. But alright, let's go ahead and make haste right here, right now, and see if we can find Dirth and kick his sorry ass. Yep, just gonna have to take this path right here. Open it up with a boom bomb. And huzzah. Yeah, I'm not fighting all of these things. Screw that. Oh my god. Yeah, you know what? Screw it. What? It doesn't work on these things? Because the thing is, you never know when they're going to just start doing that and just going on the aggressive. And just either darting away or darting towards you. And it's... Gisetta's just not fast enough to keep up with those things. And it just gets really annoying really fast, you know? Yeah, no, I'm not dying right here. Thank you very much. Gotta really be careful. Alright. Let's do it. So this boss is definitely another one of those bosses where you really need to make sure your positioning is right. Or you just get, you know, cornered into a wall like that. But what makes this boss kind of tricky is that, like, the moment you hit him, you need to kind of dart away. Because, like, he shoots that the moment you get, he, like, opens up his thing. So you have to really think fast in this fight. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna close all these windows and focus because I'd like to have the utmost concentration in fighting this boss. This is definitely what I'd consider the hardest boss of the game, without a shadow of a doubt. Ooh, I got lucky. Kind of abused my invincibility frames for a little bit, but I'm not ashamed of doing that at all. Okay, so the flame rod does work. That's nice. Ow. Okay. Just gotta stay calm. Take our time. I do have a potion after all. Let's go. I thought I hit him. What the heck? It's not really opening up in the right spaces. Crap. Okay, so gonna have to really make it count this time. Oh wow, the lingering hitboxes. Okay, so it doesn't, the mask itself actually doesn't even stop the flame rod. Nice, okay. I'll have to remember that. Ooh. That was good. That was good. I'll take that. Thank you very much. I'm getting some good hits in. How much HP does this dude have? He's getting a lot faster from what I've noticed. Ow. Okay, we're gonna have to rely on our wits here. Play it careful. This is a little too long. Why does he have so much HP? God damn it. Alright, let's go. Okay, what was up with that? So what are you doing out here then? Were you just locked away this entire time? Ah, well, I suppose that makes sense. That's probably why it felt so anticlimactic. Well, I guess we are hitting that point in the game, huh? Alright. We did it! We got the last medallion, cleared out all 8 of the labyrinths, and the door to the final battle is literally opened. Well, thanks. Oh. So that wasn't the climactic castle? Wait, are you telling me you just had a teleporter that led there this entire time? How the hell does that work? May the force be with you, oh brave one. Okay. Alright, so we're not quite ready to head in there just yet. In fact, what I'm probably going to be doing is taking a small little break after this, and I'm going to get my bearings together here so I can, like, chill out after that level 8 for sure. Oh my god, level 8 was something else. So I'll be right back. Alright, so we have a few things left to do in the Sky Sphere before we start heading off to the final battle. The first thing is to go ahead and grab our last bomb upgrade. Not that we really need it at this point in time, but we are going for a 100% completion LP after all, so I might as well add it to our repertoire. And while I was looking around in between videos, I realized that apparently, for whatever reason, so there is, in fact, 2 life enhancement upgrades in Sky Sphere. I just didn't really initially realize that apparently there were 2 in Sky Sphere. There was one in the dungeon and one in the overworld. And I find that kind of funny, actually. But yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense, like, because I thought I was done. But, like, yeah, apparently there was one extra one left that I didn't account for, and that's what the extraneous one is that we don't actually need. So I'm not going to be going after that. I think most people, generally speaking, when they're playing through this game, are going to be going after the one in level 8 anyway. to my knowledge. But if you absolutely have to know where it's at, it's actually like to the left of where the strongest sword is, which is what we're going to be getting right now. It is. I don't believe it's absolutely required to beat the game. Actually, it isn't required to beat the game. But if you thought the HP that Dirth had during that fight was a little too bulky for your liking, the final boss will definitely have you dumbfounded in comparison. So yeah, it helps to have the strongest sword on hand to make the fight not too unbearably long. It's just a shame that for whatever reason you get the strongest sword literally at the end of the game, like after you've cleared out all of the crypts, so you only ever really get to use it against Dirth. That's kind of dumb, but whatever. So we're gonna head down here, and yeah, this was a route we could have taken earlier, but we couldn't do quite yet because we didn't have the bell on hand. So, over here is the life upgrade. And, yeah, that's it right there. Yeah, it's kind of pointless. I don't know why they had a fourth one if, like, all you really have room for is 3 extra ones. It doesn't make any sense to me. God damn it. Why would you design the game like that? Like, I get it, like, why something like that would happen in Metroid 1, but, like, there's no excuse for it here. Alright, so, come right here, play the bell. And that is literally the extent of what we use the bell for the entirety of the game. Yeah, it really is that underwhelming. And fittingly so, the strongest sword is kind of concealed away in its own little separate chamber. That's kind of cool. But yeah, here we are. We have everything obtainable within Neutopia. We have all of the life enhancement upgrades, we have all of the bomb upgrades, we have all of the equipment, the 2-button items. Despite the space that we have here, there is nothing left. I promise you, you're not crazy or anything. Get out. That is all she wrote, my friend. So, with that being said, I think we're due to go and fight Dirth. So let's go ahead and head to the final battle. Let's do it, guys. Might as well. And make sure you have everything you need. In fact, we're gonna go ahead and do that off. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and do it off screen real quick. Let's go buy some potions. Alright, guys, so we've got ourselves a potion. The boss fight isn't too terribly difficult, so let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and fight the final boss. No, thank you. So once you head past this door, it is a point of no return. So make sure you have everything you need before heading off to fight Dirth. All that's left is to actually fight him. You don't have an extra crypt or whatever to go through. It is straight up the final boss of the game. And it can definitely be a little bit tricky if you don't know the trick to fighting it. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and kick it off. Starting off with my favorite track of the entire game. God damn, I love this theme. Well, 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 if it isn't Jazetta, you are famous for your bravery and courage. But I am Dirth, the devil of darkness, and your bravery will soon come to an end. You have easily defeated my many demons because they are only living creatures. But I represent the spirit of darkness that lives in the hearts of all men. So what you're saying is that you're Satan, right? As long as evil rests in the minds and hearts of men, I shall never die. All the good in the world can never overcome my evil. Now my darkness will cover you too. So this is basically a Ganon-esque fight. What you want to do is you want to watch for his images and be on the lookout for which one is the real Dirth and which one is the fake, and whichever one is the real one, you strike it, and then you run the fuck away and dodge the fireballs. And that is literally the entire fight. I shit you not. It's very repetitive, but it's mostly an endurance test, really. Like, it's a very long, drawn-out fight, and he hurts like hell, too. So, having the armor for this fight and the best sword definitely wouldn't hurt to have in this kind of fight, because it's, again, mostly an endurance test, and you just don't want to afford to be taking any hits in this fight whatsoever. But once you get the pattern down, he really isn't that hard. You just have to make sure you have plenty of space between you and him once you run away, and just give yourself enough space to, like, just walk away from the projectiles. Having the Falcon shoes on hand will help too, in order to, like, make sure you have enough space to run away and not have to worry about, like, you know, dipping off too quickly. Yeah, you just have to pick your hits at very carefully and make sure you don't overextend too hard. You can sneak in 2 hits if you're efficient enough, but I don't recommend it personally, especially like if you're just getting used to the fight. And that is the final boss in a nutshell. There's not much alteration to it, and you'd think with a fight like this there'd be a second phase, but no, there isn't. There really isn't. It's a very NES-esque boss, for sure. And, it makes me glad that, you know, at least Neutopia 2's final boss, you know, actually added, you know, a lot more character to the boss in terms of, like, everything he had to look out for. But I think Neutopia 2 went a little too far in that regard, to the point of where it can almost feel kind of impossible to dodge at times, but we'll talk about that once we get to Neutopia 2. I don't want to spoil everything, damn it. I love this song, though. It's so good. Like, it's a short loop, like most other songs in this game are, but it really sticks out, I feel. It's the very culmination of a campy Saturday morning, like, darkness-esque villain, and I fucking love it. Ah, man, the instrumentation is so good. Maybe an 8-bit soundtrack, sure, but you can't really, like, you know, throw shade its way for that, you know? I mean, yeah, we could have afforded to, like, not have an 8-bit soundtrack, but what it has to work with, I will take it. Gladly. Alright, well, that's that. That was the final boss of Neutopia, guys. Way easier than, like, the last 2 bosses we fought, too. What the hell? All the time I was worried about the safety of our people in the state of medallions. But your bravery, this is why I don't read text dialogue very often, has saved me and the medallions have not been harmed. How can I ever thank you? My love will be yours forever. Take me now and never let go. God, now that I look at it, her sprite is so fucking awful. It's so bad, even compared to, like, the rest of the NPCs. Like, her dress, it looks like a fucking cone, and her arms just... I don't like it. You are the man of honor as you have saved our country from the clutches of evil. Hurrah for our hero Jazetta and the power of good. You have made our world a paradise. But I like the implication that, like, Dirth is, like, technically a god, and he exists so long as, like, evil is about in the world. And it kind of reminds me of Zeromus in a way from Final Fantasy IV, you know? Thus, the long and difficult journey of our gallant hero Jazetta has ended. The darkness of Dirth has indeed been replaced by the power of and force of goodness. Man's minds and hearts are filled with the kindness and charity of brotherhood. The evil spirit of Dirth is only a temptation to remind us of life's fragile lessons. With your victory here in the land of Neutopia, you've shown that good does conquer evil. And with that, my friends, that is the end of Let's Play Neutopia. I like how, you know, coming back into this, this was admittedly a semi-blind playthrough to some extent, because, like, you know, I remember, like, how most of the game is structurally, but, like, as far as the locations of, like, some of the items and stuff, I can't believe how wrong I fucking was. Oh my god. It really goes to show that, you know, just a little bit of research goes a long ways in making a playthrough, like, you know, way more effective, you know? And I apologize for that, man. I hate that, you know, I had these little things come up, like the life enhancement upgrades and shit. Like, I remembered, like, where the tools and stuff were, but it's always stuff like that that really gets to me. Like, the game doesn't have any consistency in, like, that regard. Like, I would have designed it to where there was, like, one life enhancement upgrade in each overworld, instead of it being like, oh, well, the subterranean one is missing one, but all of a sudden the Sky Sphere has two? What? Stuff like that that just kind of trips you up, and I just wish there was a little bit of consistency coming into that sort of thing, you know? But yeah, Neutopia. You know, going back to games like this, I love doing these kind of playthroughs, regardless of whether or not it's semi-blind, because it gives me a chance to look back and see, like, what I appreciated out of the game and the little things I didn't like, you know? Because sometimes another playthrough can definitely solidify your opinion on, like, what you actually think of the game. Like, technically this kind of, like, approach doesn't really work with, like, visual novels or whatever, but for most other games of that nature, it definitely works, because you can see, like, oh, well, it's structured this way. This is exactly why it works and why it doesn't work. And it's like the Secret of Mana playthrough all over again, you know? And I'm glad I was able to play this game and refresh my memory. Now, granted, at least I can still say that I like Neutopia a little bit. Like, I can't say the same for Secret of Mana. I think Secret of Mana has not aged well at all in most regards. Like, it still has the music and the atmosphere I like about it, but everything else, it's just a dated fucking mess. And this game, like, I forgot how clunky the combat was, and the fact that, like, your hurt box can really make a difference and just how much it actually affects how you space your weapons accordingly. Like, again, as I've mentioned before, like in Zelda 1, the combat works despite its limited nature because everything's small. And, like, you covered that threat zone of yours perfectly without having to, like, position yourself way too much, you know? In this game, you're constantly having to do that because Gisetta just has this big, chibi-like head that gets in the way of everything. It's kind of irritating sometimes, especially towards the end game, when you're dealing with a lot of projectiles and you don't have the space to, like, cover it entirely with your shield. Like, the shield definitely feels way less effective in this game than it does in Zelda, that's for sure. It gets kind of annoying. And Neutopia 2 definitely fixes this by adding 8-way movement. And this kind of allows the player to, like, position themselves better, I feel like. But Neutopia 2 also adds some other gameplay problems, relatively speaking, that, you know, I won't share here. So it's like, both games are kind of, you know, guilty of their own differences. Like, one game fixes the other's issues, but they add their own issues, you know, in the transition, you know? So in a way, it's kind of hard to determine which game I like better out of the two. Like, I like the overworld more in Neutopia 1 over Neutopia 2. And that is mostly because it's very Zelda 1-esque, but without it being, like, way too open-ended and way too vague. This is how I would design a modern Zelda 1-esque game, you know? This is how I would take my approach to it and make it to where, like, oh, everything suddenly makes much more sense now. The NPCs are really helpful, and the overworld is teeming with secrets, but none of it really feels too out of left field except for that stupid life enhancement upgrade and the water sphere. What the fuck was that all about? God damn it. it just goes to show that like when you make little fixes and tweaks to like Zelda 1's overall like template, and you fix like a lot of the bullshit that it has in terms of like how it guides the player. Oh god. Let's not do that. You can definitely make a better experience out of it. It's just I feel like the biggest thing weighing Neutopia 1 down is its combat. Like there's nothing wrong with four-way movement as long as it's implemented well, but the bigger hurt boxes and sprites, you know, all coming in different shapes and sizes, and your sword only covering a limited amount of space, you know, it still being a Zelda 1S sword and all, it can definitely make the combat a little bit more precise than the player would like. That's why, like, a lot of the, you know, the future 2D Zelda games are, you know, really, really good. Because, like, Link swings his sword in such a way to where it covers a lot of space. But you still kind of have to think about where you swing the sword. But it's not like you have to have, like, pinpoint precision to use it, you know? Like, goddamn, it really just makes a difference, you know? And just how you craft your weapons and use them accordingly. I think the Flame Rod definitely kind of made up for the sword's shortcomings to some degree, and I think it was a really cool weapon and how like it fleshed itself out more as you progress through the game to keep it from getting too stale. I just wish there were more tools to kind of like, you know, diversify its set of like items apart from Zelda's instead of just being obligatory like barrier skip things, you know, like a obligatory like progression barrier items. Um, But yeah, Utopia 1, I like this a lot. If I had to give this a pretty objective rating, I would give this game a 7 out of 10, which is pretty average, I'd say. With a few little standout differences that make it a little bit better than Zelda 1, in my honest opinion. Like, I could definitely say without, you know, too much doubt in my mind that most people could probably get into this. Just be aware of the combat. The combat is just it can be pretty clunky at times, and you know the projectiles and like the bullshit that happens with the trap blocks. You know, towards the end of the game, yeah, it starts treading into like what the fuck kind of difficulty are we going for territory, and that's never a good sign when your game's difficulty has to resort to that to some degree. So, yeah, I don't really know what I'd consider better. Like, I think Utopia 1 does some things better that Utopia 2 doesn't, but most people will agree that on a mechanical level, on a gameplay-esque level, in terms of how it feels, in terms of, like, the combat, Utopia 2 would probably be a better game, but it has its own shortcomings in other areas. So, yeah, that's it for Utopia 1. I don't know if I'm going to be tackling Utopia 2 right after this playthrough, but I thank you guys for sticking around. For those who decided to like come back to my channel and watch my playthroughs again, I'm sorry I've been absent for so long, and like man, it's so funny too. I never thought I'd actually finish a Let's Play again. Like the last time I actually finished a playthrough was fucking Metroid Fusion. Like, God. Like, I think I started Metroid Fusion back in 2018, and I finished it in like early 2019. It's been a while since I've actually finished a playthrough. So I'm glad I have another game to add to that list of like games I've finished finally. Maybe hopefully I can, you know, eventually get back to Metroid Prime uh, and finish that up, which I've been working on editing some of my pre-existing videos, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue, hopefully. So, anywho, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys then.